There are so many mistakes that international students make when they are applying to America's most selective colleges and universities. So I decided to do a series on these mistakes because it's one after another, and this is why many very strong students who live outside of the United States often do not meet with success when applying to America's top colleges because there's a big cultural chasm between the United States and every other country on earth in a lot of different ways, but especially as it relates to the education system. And today we're going to talk about a third big mistake in this series, which is as follows. The United States is an extremely aggressive, competitive, striving oriented culture. And there's a lot wrong with the United States, and there's a lot right with the United States. So I'm not making a judgment call about this culture, but I'm just stating it like it is, especially as it relates to competition to get into America's most selective colleges. The knives come out. And so what I mean by that is everyone wants to get into Harvard. Everyone wants to get into Yale. Everyone wants to get into these very selective schools. And frankly, it's not just the Ivies. It goes right down through the top 100 U.S. News and World Report college rankings of the national universities and at least the top 25 to 50 liberal arts colleges. So there's a lot of demand from all over the world to get into these colleges. But even in the United States, there's a heck of a lot of demand to get into these colleges. Why am I saying this? Because one of the big mistakes that international students make when applying to the United States is they approach the college application process like they've approached their entire education in their home country. And in most countries, education is not a prize to be won or a commodity. That is a status symbol or any sort of product that is to be fought for. Education in some countries is considered a human right. In other countries, there's not that much demand for higher education, and anyone can go to the top colleges in that country. But even if that's not the case in whatever country you're applying from, the fact of the matter is most cultures and most countries are not as competitive and cutthroat, frankly, as it relates to the college admissions process as the United States is. So what that does is even if you're a very strong student, you've never necessarily been in an educational environment that is highly competitive. Now, some of you have, but many have not, and maybe the competitiveness has been confined to the classroom in science or in math or whatever class you're in. But it's very hard to sort of connect the dots if you're an international student or parent that the actual whole way in which you want to approach the application process to the United States is finding an edge everywhere you can. And one of the ways in which you can find an edge is with speed. And so what do I mean by this? Most international students and families I work with, they roll up to me sometime in September or October or even November of their senior year the student's senior year or last year or 12th grade year in high school. And they're like, well, now it's time to apply to college. They don't realize that 90% of my American families started working with me a year or two before. They're starting to lay the foundation early in the United States for what they know will be a very competitive, knockdown, drag out college admissions process. Whereas many international families, they realize, oh, their child is in their last year of high school. Now they have to actually apply to college, and they seek out someone like me, a college admissions coach, to help guide them and support them through the process. Whoa, that is late because there's a lot of things that you can and should be doing throughout your entire 4 years in high school that are going to set the stage for a more successful college admissions process. And even once it comes time to actually apply, once the application is available in August of the year, your final year in high school, many international students are in no rush to start their application. I really try to impart upon my students and instill in my students and families an aggression and a competitiveness and a desire to be the early bird that gets the worm as they approach the college admissions process. The sooner you can start drafting your college application essays, for instance, the sooner you will finish strong college application essays. The longer it takes you to start your college application essays, the more likely you will get distracted by schoolwork, other things, and you'll be up against the deadline like someone pushing you up against a wall. And you do not want to be in that position. So my tip here basically is you need to approach the college admissions process like the most competitive, accomplished students and families do in the United States in order to ultimately win the prize that you want to win in the college admissions process in the United States, which is getting into all or at least your top choice school in the United States. To do that, you need to start early and you need to approach the college application process with utmost haste. And this means that as soon as the applications are out, you should start drafting your essays, your short answers. You should start gathering the documents from your school, or at least requesting them from your school. You should make sure you're done testing as soon as you can be done testing so the scores can be sent on time and in the right way, in the right manner. Don't just stroll up to this process and think that you're going to have as much success as you would have by strolling up to the college admissions process in your home country. It's extremely competitive and it requires a great deal of proactivity, assertiveness, and yes, I will even use the word aggression in order to make sure that you push your way without being amoral or unethical, but push your way to the front of the line and differentiate your application as much as you possibly can. That means getting into the process early, having the time necessary to ponder the harder questions that are going to be asked of you throughout the process, ponder what you want out of the process, ponder the schools that you really want to apply to and make sure they're the right fit for you. Again, if you wait to do all this until your 12th grade or your last year in high school, you're going to be really condensing in a very short period of time tasks that many American students and families engage in over many months and even years during their high school career. So if you're an international student, if you're a parent of an international student aiming for a very selective college or university in the United States, just know I have 17 years of experience helping students and parents navigate the college admissions process in the United States. I've been around the block 17 times. And so I speak from experience when I say get on the stick early and make sure that you approach everything with the mentality in the back of your mind that the early bird gets the worm. This mentality will certainly help you when it comes time to determine whether or not you should apply to a college early decision versus regular decision, early action versus regular decision. But it will even begin to support your goals and your aims and your dreams much earlier than that, because you shall start to be asking the harder questions of yourself earlier and engaging in the self-reflection that you need to earlier in order to hit the ground running during the actual formal application season really beautifully. And because you realize that the actual application process to American colleges and universities starts many months, if not years, before the actual application opens during your last year in high school. The early bird gets the worm. Get that mentality into your mind. There used to be a song, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere, right? You know, I think that's Frank Sinatra. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Well, if you get on the stick early, you can ascend to the very top of the college admissions process and get into some of America's very most selective colleges and universities. But if you stroll up to it too late, you're cruising for a bruising, and you're very unlikely to get out of the process, i.e. get into the colleges you want, what you want out of the process. Until next time, my name is Craig. I'm the CollegeMeister. Like this video by hitting the thumbs up button. Also subscribe to my channel. I will be pumping out some more of these videos in this particular series of international students' mistakes throughout the college admissions process. But until next time, thank you again for your viewership and keep watching.